Hi, this is Sam Hin. I'm with NLCAA, and today we'll be going over 2019 Title 24, Section 130.1 C5. All right, so 130.1 C5, we're talking about occupancy sensing controls that are required to shut off all lighting for these types of spaces. These types of spaces will apply to your offices equal to and under 250 square foot, multi-purpose rooms under 1,000 square foot, classrooms of any size, conference rooms of any size, and also new for 2019 code, restrooms of any size. The previous 2016 code did allow restrooms to be turned off or shut off automatically by time clock or occupancy sensors, but this year's 2019 code that we're following requires restrooms to be shut off by occupancy sensors. So let's talk about the different types of occupant sensing devices that are out there. In reality, we're really talking about the different modes of operation. So your most common, most standard operation would be your automatic on, automatic off, and it's exactly how it sounds. Lights turn on automatically because the sensors detect motion, and once the space has been vacated over a period of time, that's when the lights automatically shut off. Now, the occupancy time delay per code, you're allowed up to 20 minutes. Most manufacturers will produce their products with the default standard time of anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes, which is very common, very standard, still effective. You don't actually need to go all the way up to 20 minutes for the time delay. Your next mode of operation would be a vacancy sensor. So vacancy mode is manual on, automatic off. Sensor detects motion as you're walking into the space, but lights do not turn on automatically. You have to go to the wall switch and manually switch your lights on. But once you vacate that space, lights will automatically shut off. Okay, so the next few modes are your partial modes. So partial on just means lights turn on, but they don't go to full lighting level power. Okay, so lights may be at 50% lighting level power, or any specific lighting level power that is allowed per code, depending on the space type. Once you vacate that space, lights will automatically shut off. The next mode, partial off. This is where lights are at 100% because it's occupied, but once you vacate the space, lights don't fully shut off. They'll just go to a lower lighting power level than previously. So that lighting power level will be dictated by code also. So you really have to look at the space and what's dictated by code. The next, or the last piece there, partial off and off. This is a very special type of sensor. Not every manufacturer can make it, but if the sensor has this mode where you could have essentially two timeouts, the first timeout to bring it to a specific level, and then the second timeout, once it expires, will actually shut off your lights. So again, once motion is detected, lights go to 100%. You vacate that space. The first timeout expires, lights go to a lower level or partial off level, and then after an additional timeout, lights will sweep off completely. This type of sensing technology or this type of sensor is very handy for those applications where maybe the designer or owner doesn't want to bring in a time clock to do the full sweep off of lights. You can do everything through the occupancy sensor because it'll do the low state and it'll also do your off state. So when do we know when we should be applying these specific types of modes for our application? It's a good question. Let's find out. So let's talk about the same areas we brought up earlier, and let's think about what's required as far as mode of operation when we're utilizing these sensors. So if any of these four spaces have triggered the multi-level lighting controls, section 130.1b, then we know we have to utilize a mode of operation that will be one of the two following. It's either going to be partial on at 50 to 70% lighting power, or you do a vacancy mode within the space. Again, only if you have triggered 130.1b multi-level lighting controls for these four spaces. But if any of these four spaces that you're doing doesn't trigger 130.1b multi-level lighting controls, then we could go to the second section here where it allows us to use occupancy sensing through automatic on or off, We could also do partial on occupant sensing mode, or we could do vacancy mode. And restrooms are exempted from multi-level lighting control, so we know automatically the restrooms can utilize any of these three options below. So let's review on what 130.1b multi-level lighting controls is. So how do we know if we have to do multi-level lighting controls for our space? Well, if your enclosed space is greater than or equal to 100 square foot and its connected general lighting load exceeds 0.5 watts per square foot, those two things are true, you know you have triggered this requirement. And so what happens next is you have to make sure your lighting, your general lighting, is meeting the requirements of table 130.1a, which is your multi-level lighting control and uniformity table. So when I think of multi-level lighting controls, I'm thinking about dimming. Okay, so if we've triggered this code requirement, my lights better be dimmable. Okay. There are exceptions, the exceptions being your area enclosed by ceiling height partitions that has one luminaire with no more than 2 lamps. Your restrooms are exempted. Your healthcare facilities are exempted. Okay, so let's apply what we've learned and go through a couple examples to see what the minimum requirements are. Okay, so both of these spaces are offices. Let's work on the one on the left. We have an office space that's under 100 square foot, but we are over 0.5 watts per square foot. So we did not trigger the multi-level lighting control requirement, section 130.1b. So we know that because we have not triggered multi-level lighting controls, then we have 3 different modes of operation for our occupancy sensor. That's your auto on at full on and full auto off. You could do partial on, full automatic off, and then vacancy mode, which is your manual on, automatic off. And so let's go to the one on the right. That office is over 100 square foot and it's over 0.5 watts per square foot. Both of those trigger points are true. Therefore, we know we have to do multi-level lighting controls, section 130.1b. Dimming is required, and we cross out automatic on because that mode is not available. The only 2 modes of operation would be your partial on at 50 to 70% lighting power, full auto off, and then vacancy mode. All right, thank you for spending time with us. Hope to see you again. Thank you.